Okay, so welcome back here, everybody. And in this lesson, we're ready now to go ahead and do the UV mapping for our fish body and also our fish eyes. I did skip the modeling portion of our fish eyes, and before we actually go ahead and start doing the UV process, to create the eyes, all I did was, let me just show you an example here. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this eye real quick. Okay, just making sure that I freeze the transformations, center the pivot, and clear the history on that. So if we use this as an example, say this was our eye that we had inside of ZBrush, what I would do to go ahead and make my eye here is just jump into creating a polygon sphere and just draw one out. Okay, trying to match the underlying geometry that would be on our eye here. Okay, select our, say, ZBrush eye, select our created eye, and we'll go into the constraint menu under the animation menu set, constraint point. Okay, I'm going to take the maintain offset on, turn that off, hit apply, and you can see where that created eye geometry will snap to the ZBrush eye. But you can see that inside of Maya we have some channel problems here. Okay, and if we take a look at our outliner here, you'll just have to go ahead and delete the constraint off of that, but that eye will still maintain where it's supposed to be, as you can see there. And then you can just simply model from there. Don't making sure that you don't adjust any of these subdivision axes, whether it be for the height or the width, until you make sure that you snap that together. Okay, so at this point we're ready now to go ahead and do the UV creation here, and we're going to be using Roadkill, which is from polandshapes.co.uk. You can Google that, or just Google something like Roadkill for Maya and it should come up. So let's go ahead here and do the UV mapping. Let's go ahead and select our body here. Let's delete our right eye because we don't need to actually UV the right eye. All we need to do is UV the left eye, and then we'll just mirror that left eye over. We'll select those and delete the UVs off here. And to delete the UVs, you'll see here that I actually have a UV map on our fish already. And obviously this fish was already done and the module is already ready for the rig, but I want to show you here that what we want to do is come into polygon, delete UVs. Okay, make sure that we select the mesh, which will be the body and the eye, clear the history, freeze the transformations, and center the pivot on it. That way we can take it into Roadkill. So we'll select our body and we will just simply export the selection out here. Okay, object export, and we're going to call this the clown body. And we'll go ahead and select the left eye here. Just hit G to repeat that command, and we'll call this clown left underscore eye. Go ahead and jump into Roadkill here. And we'll go ahead and just simply file load our mesh. And we can do the eye first because the eye is fairly simple. And you can see where I have a couple extra edge loops here, and I'm just going to cut the edge loops where I want the iris of the eye. And this will be important because this is the large portion of our eye. We'll just have to scale this down inside of Maya, and we'll also have to go ahead and scale this other portion up so we can go ahead and texture that eye. So we'll just hit save here, and we'll go ahead here and bring in our body. And we'll just do this fairly simply. We'll go ahead here and select the middle edge loop all the way down the fish body. I'm going to hit C to make sure that I make that cut. And if you watch here on the left side, you can see that we get a decent cut. But the reason why this is still connected is because we're not actually cutting the mouth sac yet. So we're going to have to go ahead and do that. And I want to make sure that I get the cut here right at the edge of the lip, so that's also not going to affect our normal map. And I'll just go ahead and make that cut. So now we have two specific sides of our mesh. And we're just going to go ahead here and cut the fins. So I think we'll go ahead and cut this one. Oops, that's actually a bit too much. And I think we're going to have to cut this manually here. So select this edge and we will just zoom in. I'm looking for the edge of where that's at. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just work our way around this edge to make sure that we select that entire edge loop. And we will go ahead and cut that, making sure that we don't cut anything we don't want there. So we can go ahead and cut that, and that's going to get cut off. We'll do the same thing here for the top side fin. Just making sure that I select that edge. Go ahead and just zoom in here and try and find where that edge is, and we'll just work our way around. And I'm using this clowny fish because I want to show you guys some texture rigging too, and this is going to make it easier for us to have not only one body texture, it'll give us the ability to have about 5 or 6 different body textures, and the ability to go ahead and rig that so we can switch between the colors, which is why I tendency to switch models and use different ones, because there's different things that I actually want to show you guys here. Okay, so let's go ahead and select this edge, and we'll do our UV mapping here as well. And I think we'll go ahead and just simply grab it there. And you can see where UV mapping tends to get a little bit time consuming and tedious, but that's alright. I mean, it's really no big deal. I've done this so many times, I'm pretty used to it by now. So I'll go ahead and cut that as well. Okay, and we just need to make sure that we go ahead here and do the top one here on the right side. And I actually don't want to cut that one. I'm going to go ahead and cut that one. I'm just trying to get the right edge loop here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just cut this one. And I'm holding down shift to go ahead and select every other edge here, every edge individually. And this definitely gets a little bit not fun, so there we go, we have all those selected. We'll go ahead and just cut that. Okay, so now you can see where we have all the pieces of the mesh here. And we go ahead and just select those, and I'll re-weld those back together. Okay, but you can see obviously where the fins need a side cut as well, so that it'll flatten it out. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and select it on the back of the model here. And this red will signify where the base is cut, so we'll just select this middle edge all the way down to the edge of the fin. Go ahead and cut that, and you're going to see where it's going to even out here and flatten out, as you obviously can see here. And I need to make sure that I weld those back together. Okay, so we'll just do the full model here. Do the bottom fin. We'll go ahead and select these as well. Okay. And I can re-weld those back here in a minute because I can see the purple, and that's okay. I'll just weld it back here in a minute and clean it up. You can always do, you know, some of your cleanup inside of mine as well. Okay. So we'll go ahead here and select these two, this back edge, just making sure that that's going to be cut. Go ahead and hit C to cut it. Okay, so now you can see that we have our fish UV'd, and I'm just going to make sure that I clean these unwelded edges up. So we'll get those welded up, and everything there is laid out properly. So this would be our mouth sack. Our mouth is actually looking good there, and I need to clean that one up, weld that one. We're looking fine there. Okay, so we'll go ahead here and save, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump back to Maya here, and what we can do is re-import those. So I'll just go ahead here and add these original ones to their own layer. I'll turn it off. To import here, we'll just simply come down to import clown body, hit G, clown eye. Okay, we'll take a look at our UVs. So if we wanted to, we just need to clean this up. So this would be one fin here, and I'm just gonna rotate this a little bit. Take this one, since this would be the same fin, or the same side fin here. Same thing for these two. Just make sure that I put them basically right together, so I know exactly what's what there. Okay, can take our mouth sack here. Go ahead and just simply rotate this as well, since we would be adding our own texture to that. And we'll just place that properly. Okay, so now that UV for demonstration purposes there is pretty much done. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one, since we aren't going to be using it, and since I already have one completely made. At this point, we're ready to go ahead and rig. You'll notice that let me go ahead and just mirror this over here real quick, just to make sure that we get both eyes here. And I'm just hitting Control D there, duplicating it, centering the pivot on that eye, and I'll just scale it in the X direction, -1. And you're going to notice here where we have a reversed face, so I'll just select it and reverse that face back, the normals. Okay, go ahead and clear the history of everything off of that. We'll just call this the right eye. Okay, we'll call this, make sure that that's the left eye and the body geo. Okay, go ahead and make sure that we save that. And at this point, we're ready to go ahead and start the rigging. Since we do have a UV map on here, we don't necessarily have to worry about putting a texture on here. All I wanted to do is just to make sure that we did have a UV on it, because this way, well, I know for sure that my model isn't going to have any issues whenever it comes to getting this rigging process done. So in the next lesson, we'll go ahead and come back, and we will start the rigging process of our clownfish. So come on back.